Do you want to be the very best like no one ever was? To catch this currency is your real test, and to spend it, well, that is your cause. Radiance, gotta catch them all, or catch a good chunk of it. Hi everybody, welcome to a brand new video, and of course, references to the Pokemon franchise. Anyway, this is interesting. This on screen right now is what Radiance looks like. You've probably said, well, Rich, I've already seen it before. Well, that's right, because it is actually in-game. It's right there. That's Radiance in-game. It's radiant. It is sparkly. But how to obtain this sparkly new currency is where you'll have to work a bit harder to get it. So, to make rank rewards in our competitive modes easier to update, to allow endgame players to choose which modes they want to play while remaining competitive, to allow for more accurate planning over the volume of rewards distributed to competitive players, Radiance is the new thing that you'll have to work towards to get. Where it lies, again, difficulty. Well, the introduction of Radiance will result in changes to rank rewards that decreases the sources for currencies like trophy tokens. Radiance does not completely replace an existing currency, at least for the moment. Glory, loyalty, and trophy tokens are more engagement-based currencies that will still have a place in the game. Trophy tokens, for instance, will still be available in the victory track. Just to properly get expectations, Radiance will only be available for those who compete at the top of the game, roughly the top 100,000 players in Battlegrounds, Alliance War, and Alliance Quest. Again, what that means is something, but also nothing. Because the Radiant store, from the last time I checked, and I will just check now because it's an ever-changing game, it is not there. We have no Radiance base store. Will we have a Radiance-based store? More than likely. Will it be another thing to go collect? Indubitably, old chums. I can imagine you're kind of like me, just going, okay, new currency. What does that mean? Well, first of all, you can collect it in Battlegrounds, okay? And then later on this year, it will be AWAQ, okay? However, in order to do this properly, we'll basically had to work out what the rewards in those modes would look like as we plan Battlegrounds, so we are actually very close to having tuning for those done as well. I'm now anticipating the updates to Alliance War and AQ by this summer at the latest. So that's good news. That's better news then, because I thought this would be end of year. And we're still light on the ground with no, like, well, what is this all about? What's happening here? So we need a store. So we're like, okay, we can get it. You'll get Radiance, but the volumes of Radiance is again a further question. I love questions. Sometimes when it comes to Marvel Contest of Champions and Kabam, you never really get answers, but you do get like teasers for the future, like a Radiance store. So with that out of the way, let's get into details. Radiance store will focus on champion acquisition and rank up materials, but will also feature consumables and other items. So it is the newer version of the loyalty store. The loyalty store has consumables, but like, will there be like consumables attributed to revives and health potion kind of consumables? What is a consumable? When is a consumable? And how is a consumable? Champion acquisition and rank up materials will reset every 35 days, similar to most things, alongside Battlegrounds cycle. Yeah, makes sense. And consumables will reset every 7 days. Okay. There'll also be a limited purchase items which do not reset. Some of these, like mastery points and the Death of Speed selectors, will be available indefinitely. What? Hey? There will also be limited purchases items, which do not reset. Some of these, like a mastery point and the Death of Speed selectors, will be available indefinitely. Other items will only be available for one cycle. These single cycle items will start to appear in the store later this year after Radiance is added to Alliance Wars and AQ. That's interesting. So effectively, it's like in other mobile games, I don't want to mention them because people get triggered every time you mention a different mobile game of comparison, but there's stores that you'll kind of go into, and they're like markets. And you're probably thinking, he'll say the name of that game. I'm not saying the name of that game. But when you go into it, there's loads of different items there. And then when you come back in about a week's time, it's like it's all new stuff. like on a regular like cycle, similar to what Kabam is saying. So that's interesting that Kabam are like now aligning themselves with what other games do, but effectively they have it in MCOC because it's like the featured store. In the featured store at the moment, we have got where is it? Is it here? No, it's in one of these. Oh, I just saw it a moment ago. Yeah, there we are. So it's like we got the Titan Crystal Shards, 7-star shards, and they're on like a cycle. So they'll kind of like go in, what, 4 days? So it's just a regular cycle of things, like other games. Radiant Store is the premium store in MCOC. A lot of lower tier items will be available. However, should someone for some reason want to spend Radiance on lower tier catalysts or alloys, players will be able to exchange Radiance for trophy tokens to access the trophy token store. So you're kind of using it as a selling into other currencies. I mean, it makes sense if you're kind of like mainly farming Radiance and then like, well, you want to have the most premium things, don't you? So I don't know, man. Many of the decisions related to Radiance were done with ease of update in mind, for the reason there is no differentiation in pricing for different progressions. Anybody Thronebreaker and above will access to the full store. Cavalier and below players will only have access to the trophy tokens trade-in. Another factor is, as I said, only roughly the top 100,000 players will have meaningful access to Radiance, since there are more than 100,000 Valiant players. Well, there you go, 100,000 Valiant players. But are they... That's really low when you consider like the game's size. But being a Valiant is a lot different to when I last year became a Valiant player. I became a Valiant player after doing Necropolis for the very first time. And no, 100%ing Necropolis. Nowadays, it's like the process is a bit smoother because, you know, Kabam allowed for players to get access to things like Tier 4 Alpha and just rank up resources more easily. We anticipate almost all Radiance will be earned by the top progression, meaning building out pricing for lower progressions would have been a waste of resource. A similar philosophy was applied to store pricing. There are some weird prices. That's because we have set up the store so that pricing is entirely formulaic. Whatever. This means no hand tuning of pricing, which means it will be much easier to update than our other stores. Nice. Store updates, because of the design decision discussed above, the store will be much easier to update than other stores. Our goal is to do this regularly. Yeah, so 4 updates a year, and that makes sense because the meta of the game shifts. Like, we've seen it before this year already. The Tier 7 Basic has been devalued off the face of the planet, and we'll see more of that when it comes to the spring cleaning deals in 2 days' time, how that's been massively impacted. But we definitely saw it at the end of Act 9.2. And other types of... It's Tier 7 Basics now in the Super Daily event. So it's changing. Sign of the times. So how much Radiance can you earn? Well, Kabam give a rough kind of like overview here. Some players will earn 10,000 Radiance a cycle. Some will earn 100,000 Radiance a cycle. Some may earn close to 1 million Radiance a cycle. It's the only way to tune it so that players can earn 10,000 can get something meaningful, while the players earn 1 million and doesn't run out of stuff to buy to apply a curve. However, unlike the curve in the Glory Store, which are linear, the Radiant Store has curves that are much flatter. For the rest, few purchases with a faster acceleration later in the curve. This means more purchase and close to the base price before large cost increase. Interesting. And this is the store, I think. This is the store. Yeah. Well, I'll go. This is the store. I want to take a full analysis of the store at a bit of a later date, especially because there's some really interesting stuff on offer. I mean, look at this. There is 7-star Awakening Gem Shards, which debatable on value. 7-star Signature Stones, again, high chase item. Tier 4 Alpha Catalyst, pretty spicy to a degree. Relic Tier 4 Basic Alloy, which is sort of spicy at the moment. Tier 7 Basic Catalyst, which you can see there. And Fragments. Wow, okay, 125,000. Wow, okay. 125,000 Radiance, I assume, to go and grab. I'll dissect this maybe like a little bit later on, but this is just like we're going to quickly react to this one. Also, the extent of resets every 7 days. And funny enough, that prediction, because I'm going into this fresh, is number 1, mastery point. Okay, that's interesting in itself. Deathless Peace Selector, so people can catch up. Yeah, rare emotes, but look at this. Level 3 revive, level 6 health potions. Wow. I did not expect that. But it's good to see because you can then go and store those up for later down the line if you're doing some endgame content. I actually quite like that. I think Kabam did this is great for free-to-play players. But, and here's the big but, you got to be competitive in order to access this. Otherwise, it might be seen as this is not great. But there's some good stuff here. The but side of things will see some problems, I think, for a lot of players in how they go about farming Radiance. And you will have to be highly competitive. Like, we're talking like Uru and upwards competitive. Some might say that they actually get that pretty easily. Others may not. So that again is a big kind of like element to this. If you're like me, you get a little bit bored with the grind of it, then you're like, okay, Radiance may not be a currency for you in that particular element. But just putting a bit of effort into here and grabbing a good enough position, you might take home, what, 12,500 Radiance? But will that get you anything? Not particularly, but it might mean that if you wanted to get yourself, let's say, a mastery point, you would be fighting for, what is it, 10? Yeah, 10, like, amounts of, put it into shot better this time, Richard, 10 of the Battlegrounds season Uru finishes. And the same thing would be like, well, you might want to get a load of revives over the course of a time. And 9k, no, it's not 9k, it's more than that because you have to like stack it on. But if you want level 3 revives, again, you might want to farm that and put it into your stash because level 3 revives are pretty difficult to get nowadays unless you spend units on the revive bundles. So again, lots to take home there and consider. But there is some added bonus if you're willing to farm a little bit to get to Gladiator Circuit and get 100 rating and get 200 rating. There's like objectives available to you, so that's okay. To get most of the competitive players out of the victory track and competing in the Gladiator Circuit early in the season, which should improve matchmaking and make a climb to the Gladiator Circuit more possible for the average player. So there's kind of like other elements to how Kabam are trying to do this in order to encouraging you to go up. And that's good. I have to see if it's like possible. I do think that Kabam have to do some work with the mode itself to make it a little bit less grindier. But once they get there, I'm sure it's going to be much more exciting for players at different levels. And also with, and as we know, the 600,000 Radiance cap, and also when Kabam add in Alliance Wars and Alliance Quest based farming of Radiance, you'll then see again, I think, a lot more interest from players. Maybe even players coming back from the competitive elements of the game and it being, you know, more interesting. But again, we'll have to see with stuff. And there's a closing remark here. We're going to work on simplifying them. This is the currencies. To that end, loyalty will be returning to a currency that is used almost exclusively to buy Alliance Wars consumables. If you want any of the champion materials currently available in Alliance Wars store, now is the time to buy them, as we'll be removing them later this year. Don't worry, Unstoppable Colossus will remain. We may not depreciate the loyalty shatter system. We will let you know once a decision on the subject is made. So maybe don't spend your shatter, because if they do, they might have to kind of allow a conversation. This is just the beginning of our plans for Radiance. Join us on our live stream where we'll be sharing some more teasers for what is to come. Do you believe in magic? I know I do. And like many of you, I'll be spending a lot more time in Battlegrounds in the coming seasons. What's that mean? What's that all about? Kabam! You crazy people. 6-star magic, maybe? Maybe not. Anyway, thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on Radiance? For me, it looks good. Like anything with MCOC, it looks good on paper. I'm sure there's some positives with this, but there will be some scary negatives that will, of course, rear themselves. But we'll only find this out in the coming weeks and, of course, months of this being introduced into the game. Thoughts as always in the comments. Bye.